Hello, everybody. It's Justin. Alright, let's go ahead and get this party started. Okay, now I'm about to be on the Watch Me Watch Me Work stream. The Watch Me Work stream. Okay, we'll go ahead and turn that down so we're not getting weird echoes. I get scared to actually turn it off because like one time I had a week where I had like no audio and I couldn't figure out why, and so now I'm all paranoid about it. Anyway, go ahead and put on my Christian game developers group, not mine, but you know. I like Braver, but sometimes it does insane things. There we go. More black simulations. Okay, I don't know what that even means. Oh, Braver, I want to like you so much, but that's not Braver. What's this thing called? Brave. Okay, I want to like you so much, but you make things difficult. Go to another one. Stream Black Simulator game dev hashtag black game devs hashtag get rid of this. Okay, whatever. What was another good hashtag? I think that might just about do it. Okay, we'll put JFox Media. Yeah. Hashtag. Put love. Because I like love. Everybody loves love. That's a universal thing, too, if you think about it. Everybody loves love. Of course, then again, though, the only problem is that there's a nuanced kind of love. So there's like different love languages. So it's like, you don't love me because you're not loving me the way I need to be loved. It's like, wait a minute. Wait, what? But it still is love. And everybody loves love. Hashtag. I think that'll do it. We'll just leave with that. Whatever. Oh, yeah. Let's put on hashtag Black Simulator. How about that, too? Hashtag Black Simu. Oops. Poor. Bam. Okay. Cowabunga. Whatever that means. And, I think that'll do it. Hopefully we're streaming something. I think we are. This thing's being weird. I'm going to restart this one right here. Okay, that's better. And I'm going to now pop this out, just in case someone wants to say howdy. Okay, and since I'm not seeing anyone on the chat, I'm more than likely just going to kind of listen to some musics, unless someone wants to join, which would be fun. I like when people join, it's fun. So anyway, let's just go ahead and jump into these beats real quick. So again, this is not copyrighting stuff, because, or it's copywritten, but it's my music, so therefore it can't get a copyright strike against myself. So that's when I'm playing my own music, my own beats, and these are from various projects and everything, you know. You can find some of these beats on my Bandcamp page, and there's a link in the description below. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Turn that up there. There we go. Oh, much better. Alright, so today I'm going to make a decision about whether or not I'm going to be doing, so we have the Ignit meter, we have the Popo meter, but now I'm thinking about the Tom meter, the Uncle Tom meter, where if you had too many responses, but I don't know what the consequences should actually be, so I'm kind of thinking about this live right now. So, you know, if there's, like, for example, if your Ignit meter, well, I'll show you a little bit of what I'm talking about for new people. Let me go ahead and pause this real quick. Okay. All right. So, we see here the Popo meter right here, then we see the Ignit meter. Now, when Popo meter goes all the way up, then the police come out and shoot you, or arrest you. You can choose. Cause, choice. Ignit meter, means, oh. Means that if you get too angry or too upset or whatever it is, then what happens is that the police will come on and arrest you or shoot you. So you can't get too mad, you can't do certain things, Popo meter, and then you also can't be too agreeable. So there's another thing in the black community where if you're too agreeable, you look like you're a sellout or an Uncle Tom or whatever. Because again, this is not called Black Sympathy Simulator, this is called Black Simulator. So these are all things that I encounter, and I think I would be remiss if I did not include that in there. But I still know what the consequence was actually going to be if your Tom meter, call him Tom meter. I don't know what the acronym is going to stand for, but we'll figure that out. I still don't know what the acronym for Ignit mean it's going to be right now. But I need to figure out whether or not, or what type of consequence is going to happen with that. So at this point in time, I'm open to suggestions because I don't know. It could be something as minor as a certain NPC or a certain character comes out but then again, I don't really have that happen in real life. Like, if anything, I might be trolled on certain websites, you know, that I'm being black and not supposed to be a part of. Like, if it's a more conservative website or whatever, then because I'm black, I'm not allowed to kind of like be there. So so that means that I get trolled on that sometimes, you know, and I'm just kind of like, that's not, I'm not a Republican, I'm just a conservative, there's a difference. But it's kind of like, you know, like, hey, I'm a libertarian, but you voted this way or whatever. It's just a very, very small aspect of my life. It really, really is. The big aspect of my life, everything is part-time for me. Jesus is full-time, everything else is part-time for me. So like, but that's only on like Facebook and things like that, you know, into the Facebook groups or whatever it is. You have somebody come in there and troll you, call you Uncle Tom, call you a coon or whatever it is. So, but I don't have a social media thing on my game. I'll turn this off. I don't have a social media thing on my game, so I don't know how that can really manifest. Like, unless there was already a more, I guess the only thing I can really do is put a militant kind of character in the game, and just kind of go from there. I already made some more NPCs characters. I don't know if I've added them to the roster of sprites, so let me see if I have or not. Let's see here. Oh yeah, return the bets back on. I'm gonna be doing some talking right now, so let me go ahead and turn this down a little more. So I've seen them be getting more hits for the music right now, so I'm going to make sure I concentrate on that a little bit. But like I don't know. Kid. I don't think I've added. Oh, Brandon Man. So this is one guy, so I can. Oh yeah, that's right. He looked terrible, so I'm not going to use him. I think what I haven't done is I just haven't gone into the folder and then exported all the stuff into the proper folder. So all my randoms, let's get these randoms in here real quick. There we go. Looking for random F. That did not sound appropriate. Random guy 01F. Okay, that's not gonna do me any good. Okay, yeah. There we go. Here we go. There we go. And there we go. Alright. Let's do a little bit of work right now. It's my jam though. That's it. Okay, so I can make a few alterations to this guy right here. So, for example, I'm adding right now this character who is I need to finish him up too. There's a character here who is essentially, he's the guy that he may not actually be racist. He may be more racial or just ignorant. Right? He, like, as in, not like as an insult, he's ignorant. Like he's ignorant as in he just simply does not know of how to communicate what he's trying to say well. Or that he is communicating something that is an idea, but at the same time can be interpreted as skin color prejudice, even though it's not, even though it almost borderlines with that, even though he noticed your skin color, so therefore he made the comment. So is he racist or is he being racial? You know, so, but then again, though, if society is saying that, hey, here's this idea, and it's attached to black people, so therefore when he challenges that idea in terms of this idea, then because it's attached, because black people attach it to themselves, therefore if you mention this idea that this is a bad idea, then therefore he looks like he's a racist because he is attacked an idea that's attached to a racial group. So therefore, you see what I'm saying? Like it's one of those kind of situations where you think too much about it, you know, your blood's just gonna shoot out your nose. But I need to have some other NPCs that are going to have some of these stickier ideas. I need to have, like, for example, the the black militant or the black radical. I don't have any of those guys in the game right now, so I just have like I have the pastor, and he's not really a radical at all. He's like, I don't care, Jesus, you know what I'm saying? Or he likes where he's at. He likes his country. He likes his house. He just like, I don't see the problem. That's just the way he is. I don't see the problem. Or why the problems as a thing should stop you from making your progress. That's just the way he thinks. But I haven't put anyone in here yet that is like a militant. So maybe that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the time here. I'm going to finish up this conversation that they're having when there's in the upper class neighborhood. I'm going to finish that one up because I think it's an interesting dialogue. And put in a few more random characters where, not like random characters where it's not detrimental to the story, but random as in just, something to get your points in or not points in. I don't know. But like, even if I did add a military character, I don't know whether or not the consequence of that is going to be enough to add any more dynamics to the game. So I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe during the time I'll be thinking about it. So, because there's no one else on the chat, I'm just gonna go ahead and let the music play and just kind of work silently by myself. I need to think about these things. So, I'm not signing out, but I am doing these things. Okay. That's not a bad idea. But trying to attach it to the gameplay is the biggest part of what's going on. I'm not quite sure. Because it needs to affect the gameplay. I need to do some more things with the gameplay anyway. Not 100% sure. Stan tried to call you yesterday. Man, what happened to my I think I know what I can do with that. I'm thinking about that right now. have this guy be the guy that's like handing out flyers or whatever for pro-black stuff. You put him in a dashiki or something like that. Oh man. Okay, cool. Indeed. Indeed. Stan, I hope you've been alright. I tried to call you yesterday. But you're being black, you didn't answer the phone. As long as you don't think about it, it'll all make sense. Turn that brain light off. You're far better off. Sometimes he may not. I think I'll add one more person of color in there too. Let's see here. This guy right here be put right there in front of this stop sign, and I think what else he wants to do is we'll go ahead and set these up right here. We'll finish these up, and then we'll go ahead and go to move on from there. Yeah, we'll do that. the almost racist guy. It's not quite. Almost though. True that, true that. Let's see. Okay, let's see how this conversation's going so far. There we go. Here's a question for you, Stan. Is it laziness? Is it laziness? It can be. Or is it procrastination? Because I think that procrastination is a really, really interesting phenomenon that we don't think much about. So procrastination is like the Darth Vader of issues, right? Like procrastination is like, until I read a book about it, I really didn't know how much damage it was actually doing. Procrastination does a lot of damage because it is the defense mechanisms that we use in order to not meet the challenge. It's the defense mechanisms that we use in order to not step into the challenge. So it's like, some people put things off, yes, because they're lazy. And some people put things off because they just procrastinate. They get into the habit of putting it off for their day because they're afraid and might hurt their ego. Meaning ego, not meaning like their pride or that only being that, but it might challenge their defense mechanisms about who they are, their perception of themselves, things like that. So it's really, really interesting in terms of kind of going through my own personal life and be like, man, is that I'm being lazy, or is it that procrastinating? Because people who don't seem to be lazy, so like a lot of people who are very, very busy won't get squat done because they're busy doing the thing that is not the thing that they're supposed to be doing at that point in time. So like, for example, if you are supposed to be, I don't know, washing your car today, and you don't do that, you do everything else, and you are hitting it hard, you know, you went to the gym, you did all the type of stuff, you know, but something about washing the car, you just don't want to feel like going over there to wash the car, or you're afraid of something, you know. And procrastination is more about fear or something. So it's like, if I wash the car, I'm going to be out $15, and you're so afraid of losing 15 bucks, specifically that you just don't do it. You keep putting it off and putting it off, putting it off and putting it off, and then it becomes a habit, and then it becomes its own entity, and it gets horrible. But you get all this other stuff done, but just not the thing that you actually need to get done. So, I think a lot of ways that laziness and procrastination kind of look somewhat similar. Laziness is gonna be a little bit more obvious because it's like, you know, when you're sitting doing like nothing, that's one thing. But if you're trying to do something and you just don't get to it and you're freaking out all the time, you know, then that's a mess right there. Let's see here. Yeah, see, that's where I would disagree with it. I think that, again, I think that like, myself at least on like, when I look at, it's more fear-based. Procrastination is rooted in fear. Like your person protects itself from even your mind doesn't. Your mind is supposed to be protecting you from stuff, from trauma or from failure or whatever it is. So you're just too scared to fail at something. You know, the perfectionist will oftentimes, you know, be like, well, once the stars and the moons align perfectly with everything, you know, then it'll be fine. Or when a perfectionist is like, oh, well, I am already trying to be perfect, so if anyone criticizes me, then I'm not perfect, and now I'm mad at myself because I only have this fixed amount of stuff to work with, and I can't grow into anything else. So therefore, when you give them criticism, they take it personally, and all the other type of drama happens and everything. And it's kind of like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. Might make a few more of these characters. That's not what I'm looking for. So like, procrastination is just mired in fear, and it could be a laziness of, you know, like, hey, well, I don't feel like going through all that, so you keep on going in the same direction, you know. But a lot of times people get really worked up and freaked out of challenging the thing they need to challenge in order to get ahead. That's just what I've been noticing and reading about and things like that. It's been very interesting though. They're very close though. I'll admit they're very close, I think. Let's see here. I don't. I don't mind confessing. Squat. As long as it's true. As long as it's true, as long as I know. If that's what it is, I don't mind that at all. It's like, because things can be it's in the little nuances. The devil's in the details, as they always say. So I'm kind of like, look, if that's it, cool. If that's not it, but Stan, you're Catholic. You love confessing. What are you talking about? You love confessing. That's one of your favorite things to do is confess. What are you talking about? Like, I know when I'm like being lazy. When I'm being lazy, I'm like, look, F it. That's like the first thing that pops up in my head. F it. I ain't doing squat today. Nothing. And I make no qualms about that either. So I ain't doing squat today. The torment comes when, for me personally, the torment comes when I really am trying to be productive and I keep on like skirting around the issue rather than actually going through it. That's when I get really discouraged and really aggravated myself. But I know what it is now. But back when I didn't know what it is, it was the most frustrating thing I could think of. Awful. But Stan, like, laziness is it's great. I'm just kidding. Some people are like, sloth is my favorite sin. Just sitting around in my drawers all day long. Oh man. I think for me personally, in terms of confessions that I hate the most, I think the biggest one that I hate the most might be some form of, I think, fear. No, it might be something that had to do with lust, some form of lust. That's one that I just kind of like, oh no, oh no. I really get uncomfortable about that one, you know, because, you know, I'm married, so so that doesn't happen a lot, but it happens. It happens, and I really don't like it. I really don't like it. That's probably my least favorite one to confess by far. Like, by far. Let's go to document history. Let's not do. Oh yeah, I have the girls too, so I need to make use of them as well. So I won't add too much to that. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll You think so? See, that sounds like procrastination to me. Cause like I found that it's not about, like, you know, not the effort. Like, I'm wanting to do the effort, but what stops me is I am afraid of something. Like, so, like, for example, I could drag my heels with this game project right here. I could drag my heels with that and be like, okay, I know I should be making something for Black Simulator or whatever it is, and I won't do it. Now, am I being lazy? Do I enjoy working on Black Simulator? Yes, I think this thing is going to be great. And I think it's freaking hilarious too. And I think it's also sad. And I think it's also telling. And I think it's also a lot of things, right? But sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to work on it. But then I have to catch myself right then and there and be like, okay, why do I not want to work on it? And a lot of times I've noticed that for me, the disconnect that I have with time in my mind in a way that it actually works and everything, it's a huge disconnect, right? So I'm like, man, if I work on that, I'm not going to be able to work on anything else, because I'm afraid that if I work on that too long, then this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. So I have to, like, speak to those fears and be like, okay, Justin, why don't you just work on it for maybe 30 minutes? Just start with 30 minutes, you know. If you want to go further than that, cool. If not, whatever. You know, at least you did the 30 minutes so you don't have to feel bad about yourself. So when I thought about it that way, it's like I confronted that fear of, you know, not having enough time within the day to do the other things I need to do as well. So, but after I confront that fear of that, I'm like, okay. Or I can be on some kind of weird level where I can say that, you know, hey, I'm gonna work on Flight Simulator today, and then I don't. I could actually be afraid that this thing will be successful. Because then what happens is that then I have to start changing things about how I do things, what I say in the public sphere, and things like that, you know, as a developer, etc., etc. So I could be afraid of that. So therefore, subconsciously, I avoid that, because that is a danger to what my brain perceives to be a good thing. Could be that. There's a whole... I didn't know how many ways that there were to procrastinate until I started reading a book about it. Like, it's a dangerous amount of ways to procrastinate. But I kind of agree with you too, Stan. It's like, okay, so that could mean that you're being too lazy to actually confront the thing that you need to confront. But then again, you could be scared. So it's a... I don't know. I don't know. It could be a little bit of both. I don't know. It is it. Psychobabble. Whatever. Could be a bunch of stuff. I just noticed that when I begin to think about fears and they really are. When I started to confess my fear about like, I'm like, why am I not doing this? And then I want to start saying what am I afraid of? When I start saying that, and I confront that, then like 5 minutes later I can do it, no problem. Won't be thinking about it at all. Won't have the anxiety before. None of that stuff are happening. When I think about, okay, what am I afraid of? And then I just talk through what it is I'm afraid of that's making me kind of beat around the bush or whatever, you know. Then after that, I'm fine. I wish I could be lazier sometimes. No, I don't. Because at least with laziness, at least you're somewhat resting. That's probably what you're probably. That's probably like what you're probably perceiving as laziness. Stan is probably just the fact that you're like, man, I'm not working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I'm being lazy. It's like, no. Just take a break, watch some Walking Dead or whatever. I'm teasing you, barely. Let's see here. This is more of a therapy session than it is a it is a live stream about game development. Jeez. What do you think about the Tom meter? I don't know if you were there for that. Were you there for that, Stan? There's like a 1 minute delay on this thing, so it's kind of hard to keep up. I think they're the most scared people that you've ever met. Terrified. The way that what meter? That's the Tom meter. I'm thinking about doing like a I'm thinking about doing like another meter where if you're too agreeable, then you get this Uncle Tom meter that gets gradually worse and worse. But I don't know what the consequence is actually going to be. So I'm just thinking about that. We might add an interesting gameplay element. It might lead to some other things too in terms of changing up the gameplay mechanics also. So I'm not quite sure. And I would say that I don't know. I would say that artists seem to just procrastinate more than anyone else I've ever seen. Like they can be super busy with a bunch of different things, and none of them be the thing that they need to be busy with. Like I don't know. Like I think because we're so visual we process things so differently that we process things in the worst possible way. So instead of like doing a small chunk of something, we think about the goal and we focus on that so much what the goal looks like that we just forget the steps, get worked up, freak out, and then just completely shut down, and then, you know, get too scared to even do anything else after that, you know. Then just dump the whole project or the whole idea to get entirely, and then sit around and eat bonbons because that's safer. Like that seems to be what artists typically do, which goes back into the fear thing, you know. That's just what I've noticed about them, me personally. Tom Meter would be opposition to your message. Expound on that, Stan. Because the reason why I was saying the Uncle Tom meter is because that's kind of there's like a subtext, and I might just add this through, I don't know, through like a thought narrative or whatever, that there's this pressure true, But there's also this pressure to have to be virtuous in that. There's this pressure to, if you don't comply over to the narrative of unconquerable oppression. I'll say it that way. Unconquerable oppression. If you don't fit into that narrative, if you don't agree with that narrative, then, you know, you're a lot of things. So when in the game, the responses that you have, you know what I'm saying, it's like, someone says, so a woman comes up to you and says, you know what, you speak so well. Now, you can say, you can cuss her out, or you can just say thank you. But but at the same time too, it's like a subtext. It's like, am I being a sellout? You know what I'm saying? Or am I being Uncle Tom? Because she did say something that was, she expected me to speak worse because of my skin tone. So she did actually think of me only on racial terms, and then proceeded to make it an assessment about who I am based on the color of my skin. She said, you speak so well. So if that was what the case is, and there's other reasons why that someone might say that too. Maybe because you're young, might be because of a lot of different things, because the way they're dressed, I don't know. But some kind of assessment was made. So like, but if you're too agreeable, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, for me, even me personally, it's like, am I being too agreeable? When someone says something stupid to me or ignorant to me, am I being the sellout or the Uncle Tom who's just trying to, kind of go along to get along, There's like this subtext within it that kind of runs through your mind, and it's kind of weird and kind of almost creepy, where you're almost pressured into thinking that way and to have high offense. So I'm kind of wanting to personify that struggle a little bit more than what I'm actually doing. That's a big part of, of this, is like, if you get too militant, you're screwed. If you get too nice, you're screwed by your own community. So it's like the go between these two different ideas it's what the tricky part is. So you can have thought balloons that are ignorant like that. Can I have thought bubbles? Let me see here. Let me check my program here. Show exclamation point. User defined. What is user defined? What is user defined? Let's find out, shall we? Right there, sure. That's a weird looking dude. Okay. Well, it might be complex. It's going to make the game harder. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it does anything. I think I had to define it like it's saying. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I can have some kind of thought process thing. Something needs to run parallel alongside with the game, so that when the decisions are being made, it changes the gameplay up just a little bit. Because the feedback that I've gotten so far is that the game right now is too during multiple playthroughs, it can be a little bit too tedious, just to kind of see everything. So either a save point needs to be added, something simpler like that, or the gameplay needs to switch up a little bit too. But there's a subtext to this whole thing about, selling out or being the Uncle Tom or whatever it is. It's like, I don't want to punish virtue, but at the same time too, you get a certain pushback for that as well. It's not that it's a good thing, it's just simply what it is. So I ain't trying to necessarily reward it. I'm just trying to be like, hey, this is what it is. This is what it's like. So yeah. Um, yeah, I have to marinate on that. I have to marinate on this a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Because either I can do that with have a user created thing where I have different yeah, because if I go with the meter, that'll make the game more difficult. But I just don't know what the consequence what it needs to be. If I can do the consequence right, then everything else will be fine. A Rod. Yeah, because I'm not done with Blackpool either. So Blackpool will be making an appearance. But I need to make that as subtle as I possibly can, because I don't want that to take certain people out of the what they perceive to be the reality of the situation. I want to personify certain ideas and certain actions. So I think that's what I'm going to have to be using that. Because I was thinking about that too, Stan. I was like, in a lot of ways, because actually I kind of started on that a little bit. You'll see right here. I've added this into it. Okay, are you going to be the acceptable? Are you going to be a? Oh, the should be a little typo. Are you going to be the acceptable Negro? So, and then the game actually starts. What do you want to wear? So this is some stuff where every time you start the game, it'll be different. Or maybe not that time. Shoot. I may not have programmed it correctly. I apologize a trillion times. There you go. You're always going to go for the okie doke, aren't you? So I wanted to have like the inner dialogue of that floating around in your head the entire time. So so yeah, like, so Blackpool is in it. It's just that I don't know. I need to make it super subtle. Super subtle. Because that's the way that that things in the spirit and stuff like that works. It's very, very subtle. Dangerously so subtle. So okay. I'm gonna go ahead and probably wrap this thing up here pretty soon. This has been a good therapy session. I wanted to I wanted to work out some of the details with some people on here. If nobody joined, I'll just go ahead and be like, okay, well, let's go ahead and work on these other new NPCs, because more people wanted more interactivity. So I've been adding more of that into it, so you can talk to the shells and the things like that, you know, and stuff like that. Well, then, Stan, I'll turn to the Screwtape Letters then. Which is something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to make an interactive or graphic novel version of the Screwtape Letters, which would be fire. Yeah. I actually did like a full documentation on that game that I have in mind. So, patent pending. Back up off me. And he is. So. But I wanted to kind of wrestle some things out. I figured that a few people might stop in, but my main man Stan, my number 2 guy, not my number 2 guy, my the other half of this thing, he went ahead and stepped in and gave me all that I needed and everything. So good discussion too. Good discussion. But you can follow me on, actually the link in the description below will let you know where you can get in contact with me, what you can do in terms of supporting me, things like that. I appreciate you guys very much for tuning in, and thank you, Stan the man, for giving me the ideas and the good discussion and everything. Yeah, I want to pray on this more, because this is the I think, the final step towards greatness. Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. And it's got to be done right. Like, just right. Just right. Because things are too crazy right now in terms of virtue signaling and militancy and aggravation and hurt and pain and offense and all type of things, you know, to be kind of dealing with things haphazardly. So I don't want to do that. I don't want. If someone gets offended, that's fine, but I don't want to offend someone because I sent the wrong message. I want to offend somebody. If I want to offend somebody, I want to send the right message. And yeah, that was meant to be offensive. So I want to, I want to do that. And I want to be wise in terms of which things first that will be offensive, because Jesus was very offensive. Jesus was so offensive. He was saying basically this: that without me, you guys are basically screwed. Without me, you guys, you religious leaders, all you guys, you don't have a chance. He was saying that you are so offensive. He was offensive by saying that you are so offensive to God that without him, and without paying the cost, that it's over. He had a very offensive message. You know, so yeah, there's a time for that, and there's time to do that well, and and if we're sloppy with that, then that's not going to be a good thing. Nothing's wrong with so-called virtue signaling. The problem is when virtues are characterized as virtue. That is true. That is true. That is very true. So I like the way you worded that, because I virtue signal all the time. All right. And so do you, Stan. All the time. All the time. All the time. So anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Love you, Stan. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be here next week at 6 o'clock. Same bat time, same bat channel. Love you guys, and bye-bye.